What is going on, everybody? Welcome to the Ango Show. We are live. Billy,
Yeah.
welcome.
Thank you.
Can you hear me? Is everything working? Is this
I can hear you loud and clear.
all
So I don't want
right?
to see nothing in this chat about things that are going wrong.
Okay, cool. So, guys, we are doing a multi-stream. Last week we tested it out, and it was really difficult. Just so many technical issues, and we were trying to figure things out today. I don't know if we're having more technical issues. So if you guys could let us know in the chat, that would be really amazing.
Yeah, how are we looking?
We are streaming. So we're streaming live on YouTube, on my channel, live on Billy's channel. And I'm also streaming vertically on YouTube as well. So I'm checking everything right now on social media and like making sure it's working. So that one, you know, this is crazy. It's
really cool though. This is very, very cool.
Yeah, look, dude, look at this. I got it working.
Hold on.
We're live vertically. Look at this.
Let me see. Oh, we are live vertically.
So I got the vertical stream working.
That's so fire.
We got the vertical stream working. We got the horizontal stream working as well.
We're up.
So we're definitely up and going. And it looks like Billy's stream is working as well.
Yes, it is.
For some reason, TikTok ain't working. Not sure why. TikTok is funny.
So fun fact, we have 72 watching right now in the vertical stream on your end. At least that's what it's showing.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, I don't know because I'm streaming across both, so I have two different tabs open.
Yeah.
And then I got, I don't know. This is crazy. So nonetheless, we'll eventually have to figure out. There's got to be a more seamless way to do this, but I'm just super excited to talk. And I know last week we were talking about, hey, maybe we'll get to the point where we go back to doing live review shows.
Yep.
Which for those who are watching live, that is the plan. So starting next week, you guys will get live review shows. A lot of good things seem to be in the works with us. If you guys are unfamiliar with who Billy is, he's also another content creator, so you guys can follow him. His link is in the description.
Thank you, sir.
And we'll throw that as well on the in the chat at some point. Yeah, you know, I don't know. There's a lot to talk about. What do you think?
Absolutely. There's a lot to talk about. It was a crazy, hectic weekend in the wrestling world.
Why was that, Billy?
Well, I seen a lot of AEW World's End. Looked like a not the worst show AEW ever put on.
You don't think so?
No, I don't think so at all. I don't think it was the worst show.
I know.
By
I was just messing.
I know. You bet. I was about to say that is not the worst one they've ever put on.
Yeah, no, definitely not. I think a lot of people, in my opinion, I feel like World's End was actually relatively good. I made a video talking about it.
I seen.
You know, and of course, nobody ever listens to the full context of things, so that kind of sucks. But
you're a grifter, bro.
Yeah. So the thing is, right? Like before we get into all of our topics, let's talk about this for a second. I talked about it. I talked about it in my video for a second. I was like, after Kyle Fletcher didn't win, I turned it off. But I had other shit to do, so it was like I'm gonna pick my battles. If they give me what I want, I'll stay and watch it live. If not, I'll go back and watch it. So I went back and watched it, and I felt like for the most part, World's End was great. I don't remember the time that I've ever done like a YouTube stream or a video where I was talking about an AEW pay-per-view that was just like absolutely terrible. Just like any pay-per-view, like it was some good stuff and then some bad stuff.
For sure.
But yeah, I mean, World's End, you know, the problem is like World's End could have been a fucking 10-star pay-per-view, and then I think if they give you a 10-star pay-per-view, you still got to get to Dynamite. And then that's where maybe things are a little bit different when it comes to
Yeah, when you get into the TV aspect of thing and constantly trying to make things make sense throughout the weeks, I
Yeah.
think that's when you deal with problems.
Yeah. What did you think of World's End? Like overall, like what was your main
Overall,
takeaway?
overall, I love the idea of Kenny Omega being back, and it looks like he's going to be playing that EVP role, which is kind of interesting considering the fact when you think of the Young Bucks and stuff being more on the heelish side and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I think you now add in this good guy EVP like Kenny Omega. I think that was a huge takeaway where I'm like, okay, this is like if we can go into Dynamite this week and we can tell some good story behind this, I think we have something here because I'm interested in that. Right? I'm interested in the dynamic. Kenny's obviously been away for what, like a year and a half now.
Was it that long?
Yeah, it's been like a year and a half if I'm not mistaken. And then also at the end we get the return of Edge or Adam Copeland. It's so hard to just, vary the names. I thought that was awesome. Kyle Fletcher and Will Ospreay, and then we had, Okada, Ricochet, and stuff like that. That was ultimately all great. Ricochet getting the toilet paper thrown at him because of Prince Nana. That was hilarious. Like this is a good way to get me invested. We obviously seen Kyle O'Reilly, Adam Cole, Roderick Strong. Adam Cole lost to MJF. Can we just please move on from that? But overall, like if I'm giving my thoughts on the pay-per-view itself, I thought it was decent. Like I said, it wasn't the worst thing that I've ever seen. Very much an AEW pay-per-view.
Yeah.
And when I say that, it's more or the less like AEW does pay-per-views really, really well. I don't think, like you said in the beginning, I don't think there's a lack of how they do pay-per-views. Some things are good, some things are bad. So for me, I'd give it like a 7.5 out of 10.
Yeah. I mean, I think for me, I was really, and I said this in my videos, I made a video on it, and I think nobody really wants to seek the context. They just see like the titles and shit, which,
for sure.
I don't know like what it is about wrestling fans. All of a sudden, like now, even more than ever, just like they see a headline. I mean, society has gotten this way. It's not just wrestling fans, to be honest, but like people just see a headline and they're like, oh, well, that's what he thinks. And like, it was funny because I made a video and it's like, I think AEW screwed up at World's End. And 90% of the video is me talking about like, hey, I feel like for the most part, World's End was a great pay-per-view. My issue was Kyle Fletcher not winning.
Yes.
There's not a person on this platform, Twitter, TikTok. There's none of these platforms. There's nobody that could sit here and argue with me. I'm going to be completely honest. Like, that tournament went to a waste, and I was tweeting about it even before the tournament finals even happened. Like before the pay-per-view went on air, I was like, Kyle Fletcher needs to win. Kyle Fletcher needs to win. So the thing is, like, I kind of got to this point where I talked about that in my video. And Tony Khan, if he was sitting right here face to face with me, I would tell him you fucked up. And
so let me ask you this.
Yeah.
Let me ask you a quick question about it. Even though Kyle Fletcher won and beat Will Ospreay already.
Yeah.
Do you think, like, ultimately, does this hurt Kyle Fletcher now in your eyes?
No, nothing ever hurts a wrestler just by picking up a loss, right? It's not that. Okay. It's that AEW has a history of not pulling the trigger when the time is right. Mm-hmm. And again, I know we've talked about this before, but like, there's been too many wrestlers in AEW where the trigger wasn't pulled at the right time, and some of those people never got their momentum back. So, like, historically speaking, with AEW, that is an issue that the company has had, which it's not dead in the water for Kyle Fletcher, but that was the right moment. You put so much shine on him during the tournament.
You let him win it, yeah.
I mean, this guy comes back with like a repackage, a haircut, different apparel, like.
He looks like a whole different person.
He looks like a whole different person, and he's coming across really good on TV. And he's one of the better in-ring performers in this company, which is everything that this company desires. And then you have this amazing, incredible match between him and Ospreay, the first one. And people knew when they watched that match, they're like, okay, we could still even get more out of them. So then you kick off the pay-per-view with this. Yeah, I mean, I just think they have a history of not pulling the trigger when the time is right. I've said this too many times. So of course I genuinely do believe that they fucked up. And The reason why, too, let me make that clear, and I did touch on it a little bit in my video, but if you want Okada and Omega and you want that visual with the All In banner behind them, why can't you have Kyle Fletcher win? Why does Okada have to win the tournament for that to happen? Like
you still could have gotten away with it either way.
Yeah, and the reason why, because there's a lot of people whose argument is, well, Okada was going to look weak if Kenny Omega, like if he lost and then he goes face to face with Kenny. Well, I don't know if anybody knows this or not, because everybody says, oh, you must not be watching the program. But I watched the program, and last time I checked, it was Okada and the Elite who went after Kenny. Right. And for that reason, that's why it didn't matter who won the tournament. You could have still had Kenny get his revenge on Okada. Which, you know, I thought was kind of stupid for Kenny to be the one to bring him the title, because it's like, brother, these people went after you and you just came back from a battle with diverticulitis. What the fuck are you doing sitting here? Oh, I'm going to give you your title back. No, you're going to go get your lick back. You're going to go beat the shit out of him. Like that was the thing I didn't understand, but you could have had Kyle Fletcher win the tournament and you could have still got to Kenny Omega and Okada face to face or whatever. So for me, that was my issue. And that's why there's nobody here on this platform on YouTube. It doesn't matter who it is. Tony Khan himself could try to justify it, but there's too many examples in this company where somebody, the iron was hot and they didn't strike. And I feel like with Kyle Fletcher, you know, and this is coming from somebody, by the way, who really didn't care about Kyle Fletcher. He kind of,
it was hard to for a long time.
My opinion was always, man, he's just like another Will Ospreay. And then they gave me something a little bit different from him, to the point where it's like, okay, you made me a believer, and then you have him lose to Will Ospreay. That doesn't really help the guy. And you know, the thing is, like, I'm not taking my opinion as fact, but in this situation I am, because I just think there's been too many situations in the company's history where they had the opportunity to push somebody new, and then Tony Khan goes back to doing what he does. And this is not a Tony Khan thing. And I know people will never want to actually hear this part of what I'm about to say. They're going to plug their ears because they want to pretend like Ango doesn't think this way. But there had been many moments in the WWE. Bronson Reed was a very good example of where I'm like, hey, this guy has been relatively slowly pushed. Then you put him in a big time matchup. Oh, you have him lose to Seth Rollins. Mm-hmm. Why did you do that when you could have made a new star? You could have cemented Bronson Reed as a very, very, very credible winner. Not just a guy who goes out there and has great matches, but a credible winner by beating Seth. So I criticize WWE for the same notion. Push new stars. Stop being afraid to introduce somebody new to get the win over somebody a little bit more recognizable. It's a pet peeve of mine in professional wrestling. I think I think WWE is a little bit better in this case because
I was just going to say, because I think there's a repetition there for WWE. WWE they have a track record. They know how to build new stars. That's ultimately why they are where they are. Yeah. You know what I mean? Versus AEW, who they don't have that track record yet.
Yeah.
There's no track record to say like, oh yeah, no, even if he loses right now, there's still a future for him down the line.
Yeah.
You know, Danny Garcia is the perfect example of that right now. He's supposed to be, in my eyes, like at the top of the game, and just he's had numerous times to do so, and they just haven't pushed the button on him.
And I think sometimes people think it means give him a title, but it's not. You know what I mean? Like, no, it's not. But that was my only issue with World's End. I felt like, well, that's a lie. There was two issues that I had, but I felt like that the Continental Classic basically became meaningless to me now. And for a guy who kind of tunes out with AEW at times, when you give me the Continental Classic and I'm like, okay, this is really dope, and I really like it, and then you're giving me something really fire, and then you're not giving me the results that I want. And I understand the product is not supposed to cater to me, but at some point as a fan, you
want it to cater to you in some aspect.
For sure. And this was a guy I wasn't necessarily high up on initially, you know? So yeah, hey, I feel like they fucked up. And, I think that was a big issue. And then the other thing I'll tell you is the Death Rider storyline. And,
Oh yeah.
And I have my own opinion on this that I haven't talked about much, but I'm going to ask you because these were the two things that I felt like were the biggest misses. Like MJF beating Adam Cole, great. Takeshi and Hobbs, fantastic. The women's matches, great. Even with the lack of build for Thunder Rosa and Mariah May, still very fun. Decent. Tijuana street fight. Like, I'm not going to complain about those things because I feel like they all delivered the right results.
Right.
The Death Rider storyline, where do you stand?
At first, I was a pretty big fan. And real fast, before we continue, I got a super chat over on my channel.
Okay, yeah, go ahead and read it.
Am I cool to read it?
Yeah.
This is from Denisha, who's from your channel, actually.
Yeah.
She says, "Hey, Ango and Billy, I just felt like they spent 7 weeks of making Kyle Fletcher a heel. For him to lose was so effed up. He should have won. AEW, they need to build new stars. They're not. I'm taking this is just trying to say that they're not doing a good job at building Kyle Fletcher as a new star.
Okay.
So let me ask you this. Do you think that AEW still has the chance to make Kyle Fletcher that guy eventually?"
Well, I mean, they did with Swerve.
Okay.
I mean, I feel like they missed the boat on Swerve. I remember calling that out at the time, and then it took about a year or so, but they eventually got him to the point. So for that reason, historically speaking, no, I don't think so. But I do think if there was ever the right time, it was the Continental Classic.
Fair.
Yeah.
Easy enough.
I think the Continental Classic was the right moment. And this also comes from somebody who relatively hates when tournaments or like Money in the Bank or King of the Ring. I like the idea of these big time matchups like being in a result of somebody being made. So when I see somebody win the Royal Rumble and it's a fucking veteran, or when I see somebody win the Casino Battle Royale and it's like not really an up and coming star, like I think it's the worst thing, and for me, like so let me give an example. I'm going to use TNA as an example. I love Frankie Kazarian.
Yes.
Bound for Glory, he wins the Call Your Shot Battle Royal, and he has the opportunity to cash in anytime for the World Championship. And I look at this and I'm thinking, okay, I don't know if TNA is going to have Joe Hendry win at Genesis only for Kazarian to cash in on him, but that's kind of like my belief, right?
Yeah.
Frankie Kazarian, that I can recall, has never been world TNA champion. Okay.
After all the years he's been there?
Yeah, I don't remember him ever being world champion. Maybe I'm wrong. I just, off the top of my head, I don't remember. And if he was, it probably wasn't memorable because usually I remember these kinds of things. But he wins Call Your Shot Battle Royal. I love Frankie Kazarian. I love it. But there's a lot of young and up-and-coming guys in TNA where it's like, man, if you would have really wanted to change the game, you probably could have given one of them an opportunity to become world champion, right? When I see Money in the Bank, for example, and I see Austin Theory cashes in on the U.S. title, or, he doesn't become a world champion, but he goes for the mid-card belt, and then Bobby Lashley screws him and all this shit, right? Like, I look at that and I'm like, what are we doing here? Right?
It just doesn't make sense.
Yeah. And then when I see the King of the Ring becoming a gimmick where finally Triple H made King of the Ring matter with Gunther. But like, when you see King of the Ring, for example, and you see
like Xavier Woods in a crown.
Yeah. Like King Booker or King, like anything like where they just turn into a gimmick. Where it's like, no, you could have used that as a way to propel somebody to the top of the card.
Like Triple H really did a good job with that one in particularly, where he had Gunther win the World Heavyweight Championship from it. Like that was
it catapulted him.
Execute that. That was the best way to execute him coming off of a loss from WrestleMania.
Yeah, it catapulted him. And so for me, when I see the Continental Classic, and I forgot because even in my video, I made the mistake of saying, it was Okada who won the first one, which wasn't true. It was Eddie Kingston. But like, to me, I like the fact that Eddie Kingston won.
And Okada won the belt from him.
Yeah. So I loved, I loved the first Continental Classic, and I just looked at this one and I'm like, okay. So you gave it to Okada, who doesn't need it. Will Ospreay doesn't need it. These guys are established. These guys, no
Kyle
matter how
Fletcher could have been the guy to win that and just automatically elevate him to some kind of next level.
there's just certain guys in wrestling you could book them like absolute shit, but the fans are incredibly behind them. So no matter what, however shitty they're booked, people will be like, oh, it's shitty booking, but we still fucking love this guy.
Right.
It's an opportunity to make a new star. They didn't. It's as simple as that.
Right.
And anybody who wants to argue that, anybody who disagrees with me, I simply say they have a track record of not doing it. And also you have to just understand that like AEW right now, what's really happened to this company is that they do struggle with making new stars that carry the flag for the company. And I'm gonna be honest. I'm gonna tell you guys the truth. And Billy, maybe you could challenge me on this if you don't agree. I don't know. But like, I think with AEW, having a ton of great talent is awesome. But when you don't have a clear-cut number one heel and a number one babyface in your company, I think it provides a little bit of an issue.
Okay. I hear you.
Yeah.
Right. Couldn't we say like, I mean, maybe it's hard to say on the heel aspect, but they did have a really good babyface in Bryan Danielson. And see, going back into what you had said earlier about the Death Riders and where I stand on that, I thought ultimately in the beginning it was great, right? Because they were telling that story, and I think they were getting ready to catapult Bryan Danielson to that, at least in that last little, part-time era of wrestling for him, to where he could have been that guy for, AEW, but it looks like right now, Will Ospreay is that guy for them. Will Ospreay is going to take the ball and essentially run with it and carry AEW on his back. The problem is something that you and I have discussed numerous times, and it really falls down on like vignettes. And vignettes being, I see a lot of stuff on Twitter, and AEW really caters to that audience over on Twitter, and they cater to what those people think rather than putting things on TV. And I get it, some things air, some things don't. But I see a guy like Will Ospreay cutting some amazing promos that could eventually carry your company. And at least, we'll just use Bleacher Report as an example, post it over on Bleacher Report. That puts it in front of a new audience. You know what I mean? And AEW, I just feel like is only capitalizing off of that Twitter audience. So again, yes, I would agree in a sense when you say, oh, you can't succeed without a top babyface and a top heel. The problem with it is, though, is they're not doing a good job at trying to actually, because they technically have them. They're just not doing anything with them. At least on the babyface side with Will Ospreay. They have the guy to push to the next level. They're just not doing it the right way.
Who's the top babyface in WWE right now?
My eyes, Cody.
In your eyes, Cody? I think in everybody's eyes, Cody, right?
Yeah.
Okay. What's one of the best feuds that WWE has presented in the last 2 years?
Roman and Cody.
Okay. So in AEW, I use this comparison, but Kyle Fletcher and Ospreay, to me, should be Cody and Roman.
Yes.
It should be John Cena and Randy Orton, right?
Yep.
There is no clear-cut anything here with AEW. I'm not mad at AEW. I'm not pissed at AEW for it. I just think it's an issue that they have. We know that Will Ospreay is their top. He's going to be their top babyface. We know that Will Ospreay is going to be one of their most reliable top stars. I love his character work. I love his wrestling work. Every superhero needs that villain to go after.
Yeah, absolutely.
To me, I'm just thinking it's a no-brainer. Let me also say this too, because this is a huge thing. There was a super chat, and then we'll talk more about the Death Rider thing.
Okay.
But Justin Kennington, he dropped a super chat, and he says it was $4.99. He says, "Why is the Continental Champion defending the title in a tournament? It would be better if the winner of the tournament faces the champ at the pay-per-view." Well, the person that won the person
was already the champion.
Was already the champion, yeah. So Justin, Okada was already the Continental Champion. And that's what he was in the tournament, and then he obviously made it to the finals. So they booked it that way. They booked it where Okada had a relatively strong tournament to make it to the finals.
And ultimately, he looks, in their eyes, quote unquote, strong as a champion.
Exactly. Now, let me just one last thing I want to say about the Kyle Fletcher thing.
Yeah,
because we're talking about creating stars.
Mm-hmm.
And I hate to compare to WWE, but one thing that WWE has done relatively good with is establishing in their mid card guys who are relatively going to be next up.
Yeah.
One of them is obviously Braun Breaker. Braun Breaker comes in, just rampage, really good stuff.
He looks like a beast.
Looks like a beast. He wins the Intercontinental Championship. I'm looking at AEW's mid card and I'm like, who's their Braun Breaker?
There's not one.
And I'm not saying that there has to be like their own version of Braun Breaker, but in my opinion, I'm looking at their mid card and I'm like, who's that guy that's like really stands out as a potential future world champion?
It's always been Will Hobbs in my eyes.
Okay, but the thing is, has Will Hobbs always been presented booking?
No,
wise?
That's the problem.
Okay, so that's what I'm saying. Booking wise, they don't have that. And that's okay. You need to eventually get there. But then again, that's kind of why it brings me back to, man, imagine if they had Kyle Fletcher win. And by the way, Kyle Fletcher could be the Continental Champion, and he can go on and have a lengthy run with the Continental Champion, and he could go and continue to wrestle and have great matches as Continental Champion, and then use that as an opportunity to go into the tournament next year. And if you really, really want to play the long ball game, when Will Ospreay is world champion at that point, Kyle Fletcher wins the Continental Classic 2 years in a row. He takes his Continental Championship and says, you know what? I'm going to vacate this because I want an opportunity at Will Ospreay. And there you go. You could settle it.
Simple.
Again, it's just like this logical thing of like establishing somebody who could potentially be next up. And I don't think the company has that. And it's like, that's where I got a little frustrated with the pay-per-view because I feel like everything else was really good, but that made me hate it. And I hope I gave everybody a little bit of context as to why. Money in the Bank, Royal Rumble, King of the Ring, those things matter in WWE. And WWE historically has made them mean less and less and less throughout time. Triple H finally started to get it to the point where it starts to mean a little bit of something. And that's a thing that like Triple H, okay, you did a good job this year. Next year it better be even better. So that's why I kind of mentioned that. Justin, thank you for the super chat. And then you said it was Denisha who super chatted you as well?
Yes.
Shout out to Denisha.
Big shout out.
If you guys want to support the channel, drop super chats. $5 or more will activate TTS, which means we'll get interrupted with text to speech. If you guys want, you could also become a member of the channel. We got some emotes and there's some new ones.
Yeah, I was about to say, I've seen you did new emotes. That's super fire.
I need everybody to drop a toilet paper emote.
Oh, no. Get out of here, bro.
You know, we had to add it. Ricochet.
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 It's crazy, dude, but it's funny.
Bro, it's funny. Ricochet. Okay, before we get to the Death Rider thing, let me just ask you, what do you think of Swerve basically burying Ricochet?
Love it.
I do too.
That is like, that's good shit. Because Ricochet is getting this like really cheap heat.
Yeah.
Fucking go have Swerve because you know Ricochet is gonna put on a good match with Swerve.
People seem to be so mad, by the way, that that Ricochet is like being buried, but I think it's gonna help his gimmick get over.
It's the story.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, he's finally got something where
right, finally something's working because he sucks on a mic.
Yeah, play into your advantages.
Right.
that laugh is so annoying.
Yeah.
But hey, it's working, right? So you might as well get that reaction and then see what happens.
Get it over.
So let's talk about that though. Let's talk about the Death Riders. Okay. I know we kind of touched on it a second ago, but what was your opinion on Jon Moxley defending in the Fatal 4-Way? And then you have him retaining. Then you got Rated FTR coming out. What's your thoughts on that?
Well, I think ultimately, here's my thing on Jon Moxley in AEW. he seems like it's almost like the safe route, right?
Yeah.
It's when AEW is in like this really weird funk and they don't know exactly where they should go or maybe who the next guy is. Their safe bet has always been Jon Moxley. And you know, granted to Jon Moxley, he's always done a really good job at telling stories and making sure like that title has prestige and stuff like that. But it seems like what happens is when you do that so many times, people like myself lose interest.
Yeah.
Right. And the Death Riders thing in the beginning, when it first started, I was like, oh, this is really cool. You know, and again, it plays back into AEW's weaknesses. And it's that they struggle with consistency of telling stories. For me personally, I'm not going to say this is for everybody.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But for me, they've just lacked. A lot of the stories have been lackluster. But I will say that I know like the rumors online and stuff was like, oh, Shane McMahon, da da da. There had been all those rumors, and then you know, ultimately to see Adam Copeland, I mean, it's like again, you kind of go back to the new stars.
Yeah.
Like, what are we just gonna put Adam Copeland in that role because it's Adam Copeland? Is he actually gonna do a really good job? I know at the media scrum he talked about like putting on like NWA style, like gritty type matches. That's cool and all, but like, again, when's the next guy up? Because Adam Copeland has done everything in his career. I don't think this is something that I don't even think he needs this feud to begin with. If I'm being honest, I think you can have him go off and do something else. Again, put over a new star. Because for me, that's where the problem lies. It's we're not creating new stars. Jay White. Not doing something with Jay White to me is crazy.
Yeah.
And I just can't get over that. But what are your thoughts? What are your takeaways?
Yeah, I thought the match sucked.
Cool.
I was shocked.
No hate. No hate.
Yeah, I was shocked. I thought the match sucked. It was odd. It was really weird. The Death Riders thing was something I liked a lot in the beginning. Mm-hmm. A lot. I was like, okay, the Elite Invasion failed. These guys will get it done. Nope. It's not working for me anymore. It's to the point where I don't think this company knows how to book invasion angles. But also at the same time, too, this isn't Retribution levels of bad. So, like, let me make that clear.
Yeah.
It's not. Yeah. Like, it's not that bad, right?
Right.
I think everybody kind of pointed out to me on Twitter that Darby is being set up for the eventual world championship, which
good.
I'm not a believer in Darby Allin as a world champion. Not when you have Will Ospreay, Jay White, MJF.
There's so many guys there that make sense to have that championship.
Yeah. So listen, I thought it was pretty bad. However, I think Adam Copeland saves it.
Okay, explain.
The company, in my opinion, needs to hit the reset button. And in order to click the reset button, and I know AEW won't do this, but maybe I'm wrong. Okay. But Adam Copeland is a very well-liked guy. Fans love him. If he were to beat Jon Moxley for the world championship, I think it would be really good for AEW. Like, I think it would be really, really good for AEW. If this is where I have an issue.
Okay.
When we see Adam Copeland going after Jon Moxley now, and I say there needs to be a reset button, the solution can't be, okay, well, let's have Darby Allin beat Adam Copeland, right? The solution needs to be, you got to have somebody being made by beating Adam Copeland. And it has to be the guy that you want to carry the flag for the company. Because Adam Copeland's not going to be there long term. And I know people are going to say, oh, well, Darby beats Jon Moxley and he waves the company flag harder than everybody else. Listen to his interviews. He loves AEW. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about somebody who could truly be the face of the company and like really do big things. And so when I look at this whole situation with Moxley and Copeland and I say they need to hit the reset button, I don't like the suggestions that I'm hearing. I'm hearing people are like, oh, well, then you could have Christian cash in on Adam Copeland. No, like that.
No. Yeah, no.
I don't like that idea either.
I almost prefer you have Christian fail.
And it could make a lot of sense, right? He goes in and he doesn't have Luchasaurus right now because he's currently battling health issues. So he tries to do it and
he ultimately fails. It's simple.
Yeah, I mean that's kind of how I'm looking at it, and I think I mean the reality is I'm not a believer in Darby Allin, and if you have Christian try to cash in, I think it takes away. I mean I think what people need to realize is a reset button needs to be pressed, and Adam Copeland is a guy that is well liked, and I think a lot of people, I don't think anybody would really hate on an Adam Copeland title run, just like nobody would hate on a Bryan Danielson title run. Like I think these guys are just like to the point, you know, and the thing is like. What I think really needs to happen here with the Death Rider thing is it just needs to go away, and it won't.
No, it's not going to.
You know, it's not going to go away.
Kind of like the Elite. It's kind of like the Elite. They've just kind of lingered.
It's just not good, man. It's not. It's not good. You know, and I'm not a big believer in FTR as the guys that save AEW's company. Like I'm not, and this is maybe like my own personal bias, but like. When I hear Adam Copeland talking about, I want these guys to win the tag titles and we win the trios titles and then, you know, a world championship, bro, we need to be building up those divisions to a point where that shit even matters first.
Save some for the rest of them, man.
Yeah. But Adam Copeland beating Jon Moxley, he's a very credible opponent. The one flaw that I saw is somebody pointed out on Twitter, which I never really, I don't know if I would say I don't think I would have normally agreed with this, but it is kind of true. Adam Copeland, in a way, is also not the right guy because Adam Copeland's been with the company for a short period of time. His entire life was dedicated to WWE. He's been known to be a WWE guy. See, that's what I'm saying. AEW doesn't have a clear-cut guy who's going to carry the flag and be that top guy. Darby Allin, people will say Darby, but like, I'm sorry, man, but this is where I disagree with like perception is reality. Darby is great. He's a great performer, but he don't look like a star to me.
No,
I don't think AEW has capitalized on that either.
No, they haven't. Because so I kind of compare it back to when like Rey Mysterio won the World Heavyweight Championship so many years ago. They made me a believer that Rey had to like overcome the odds.
Yeah.
Kind of like the Daniel Bryan story many years ago. You have to overcome the odds. Darby Allin is that type of guy. He has to overcome the odds. It's a very simple story to tell.
And they're kind of, I mean, in a way, they're kind of already doing that with them.
They're trying to.
Yeah, I just don't know if I'm a big believer in it. I'm not saying my opinion won't change on that, by the way, but like, I feel like the whole Jon Moxley thing and the invasion storyline, it's not clicking. And I'm just being honest. I feel like it when I say the reset button needs to be pressed, I think I look at Adam Copeland again, universally well liked, a veteran of the business. If he won the championship from Jon Moxley, nobody would hate on it. But then there's an opportunity to say, hey, Adam Copeland could now go and defend it against other people. Will Ospreay being one, which who wouldn't love to see, like, in a way, like Will Ospreay and Adam Copeland kind of are similar. I know people are going to be like, what? But like a lot of people didn't think Edge would ever be a big deal. They always said there was going to be a ceiling on him. A lot of people said the same thing about Will Ospreay. You know, it doesn't even necessarily have to be babyface versus heel. It could be babyface versus babyface. You know, and then like obviously Adam Copeland can mix it up with Kenny Omega one day. And like, they need to get to the point where I think the main event scene is surrounded by some major players, and I don't know if right now they have that. On paper they do. I don't know if on TV.
Yeah. Okay, that makes sense. It seems like where you stand with it, it's very much that the scene just feels kind of empty in a sense where it, like you said, on paper it does well, but when you put it on TV and you see it, And let me be clear, like Hangman Page, Jay White, Swerve Strickland, like those are great guys,
and they're all guys that could be world champion right now.
Absolutely.
So it's not a matter of they don't have it. I just don't think they're presenting it in a way where those guys truly do take the belt off, and I feel like that's kind of a mistake. But it's a solvable problem. It's not, it's very solvable. I think you can really fix the problem easily. Actually, if you truly want it, you could. It's just up to them. And I think too, like, I hate to say this because I'm a huge fan of Jon Moxley, and I've said this before. I was like, Jon Moxley, for those who don't hear the interviews or hear the stories backstage, from a backstage perspective, Jon Moxley has been very, 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 very instrumental in like trying to get AEW back on track with the culture and stuff.
You can imagine from the start he was that guy.
Yeah, and then like when you hear of all this drama and stuff, he's the one that's kind of stood up and like, hey, like, yeah. So I like Jon Moxley. It's just the storyline itself is not intriguing enough to me, and then that's kind of my issue. It's like, it's kind of like a, I don't want to say turn off the TV type of thing, because it's not that bad. Again, it's not. It's just,
it's not compelling.
The direction that they've gone is teasing, like, in a world where the Jay White and the Hangman Page exist, you're trying to tell me by your level of storytelling that Darby Allin is better than those guys.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair.
Like Hangman Page is like, why this company isn't being built around Jay White or Hangman, like, it's crazy to me. Swerve, best, Samoa Joe isn't on TV, but because he's busy doing some stuff. But like Samoa Joe, when the company desperately needed a legitimate world champion, who stepped up? Samoa Joe. That's kind of how it is. And I will say, like, it's hard. It's hard to get, DZY119 says his opinions mean nothing. It's like starting a video by saying that World's End was a great pay-per-view. I stopped watching after Kyle Fletcher lost. Zero substance. Well, I hate to correct you, but the following line after that was, I had some other stuff to do, so I decided to go back and watch it later in the night. So I think it's really important, if you're going to quote me, you do it correctly. Otherwise, you're just kind of talking to the air.
Yeah, don't be. Yeah.
So I just kind of wanted to mention that aspect of it. I don't want to address the people that are looking for the wrong kind of attention in the chat, but I think it's really important to understand that, like, my opinions mean absolutely everything. Otherwise, you wouldn't be here. Nah, I'm just fucking around.
Do now, dude. You don't have to.
I'm just fucking around. But in all seriousness, I mean, that is the truth.
It's the truth. They're here for a reason, so something matters.
No. I mean, the truth is, I watched the show and I went back. Yeah, I didn't get what I wanted. I mean, people forgot when I said I turned off Crown Jewel. Like, people just want to believe whatever the fuck they want, and that's fine. But if my opinion of not enjoying Darby Allin as a credible world champion offends you, that sucks.
Yeah.
But I'm not a believer in it. And guess what? There's a lot of wrestlers who I don't believe in.
And that's fair. There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah. So it is what it is. But the reason why we're going to transition now, because obviously we know where we stand with World's End. I love statistics, Billy. And I want to share a statistic with you.
You, sir, are a statistic guy. So.
Yes, I love statistics because facts don't give a fuck about
I was about to say, you bring the facts. That's fair. You don't bring opinions, you bring facts. Sometimes opinions.
Yeah, sure. So let's talk about it. AEW World's End, tickets distributed, 6,711. WWE had a house show at the same time. And WWE...
It was in the same place, too. It was in Orlando, wasn't it?
Being in Orlando. And WWE had over 8,000, meaning a WWE house event outdrew an AEW pay-per-view. First, let me ask you, what is your reaction to that? And is it a big deal?
Okay. So is it a big deal? Because again, AEW is going to be fine. I think when you look at like the internal aspect of it, is it a big deal? Yes, because you just got out drew by a house show, something that's not even aired on television. I think in that aspect, yes, it is a big deal. When you look at the broader aspect of it, no, AEW is going to be fine no matter what. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And my immediate reaction to that is, wow, WWE is really hot right now.
Yeah.
That's my initial immediate reaction. I'm actually going to be attending the last house show tonight, and just being able to scroll Twitter and see all the fun, engaging stuff that they're doing. Because here's the thing: is a lot of people thought, oh, it's good that WWE went away from like the comedy stuff on TV and whatnot. But what they've done is they've done a really good job at the house shows and making sure that those are still entertainable. They do a great job telling stories and adding in and sprinkling in a little fun on TV. But ultimately, the fun is coming from these things. It's very, very kid friendly. They're doing a great job at that. And I think ultimately, when I think of AEW in this aspect, again, something is not clicking with AEW. Something is not hitting the right way, because your last pay-per-view, your final pay-per-view of the year, is just not hitting the way that it should, versus last year when, you remember, we went live talking about it and stuff like that. There was a really good ending and it looked like something was going to come out of that. And then ultimately that led into what was going to be just almost like a downfall year for you. You still, you have great wrestlers and stuff like that, but ultimately something is not clicking, and you need to figure out what is not clicking, because being outdrew by a house show is ultimately insane.
Okay, so I actually disagree with your opinion. So
Okay.
For those who missed it, Billy just said that AEW being outdrawn by a house show is really insane. I'm going to challenge you here.
Okay, bring it on.
When you look at those numbers, and again, for those who don't know the numbers, WWE did over 8,000 tickets for a house show in Orlando. The same time, same night, AEW drew 6,700 tickets. I think that's actually really fucking badass, to be honest. Like, I think, genuinely speaking, I think shout out to Orlando for being a great city for pro wrestling.
Absolutely.
But also, I think having both companies being able to have thousands and thousands and thousands of attendance, regardless, house show, pay-per-view, I think it just really goes to show you how strong professional wrestling truly is today. With that being said, there is a little caveat to that, because the fact that AEW was outdrawn by a house show tells you how strong WWE is. And it also tells you that maybe AEW could have done a better job of trying to sell tickets. Of course. But at the same time, too, AEW was only a few hundred tickets away from being from being a sellout. So it's not like AEW was necessarily trying to outdraw WWE. Technically,
okay, you have to look at the venue.
So yes, I mean, technically speaking, AEW did get outdrawn, but it wasn't like AEW was trying to sell 15,000 tickets. I mean, they were only like 200 or 300 tickets away from being a sellout.
See, when you look at it from that aspect, I didn't know, because it was in Chicago, wasn't it? The house show? Or no, it was in Orlando. Excuse me. I'm sorry. What arena were they in?
The Kia Center, I think, is what it was.
The Kia Center.
I can't remember. It was something Kia. So Kia Center, and then the AEW one. WWE was the Kia Center, I think, and then AEW was at Addition or added Addition.
So definitely a smaller venue than the Kia Center.
I don't know. Without looking at the numbers, I don't know the exact capacity, because you got to remember they book these bigger venues, and then they're not trying to sell absolutely every single seat in the venue. But I think for some people they're going to turn this into a conversation of WWE good, AEW bad. I don't think that's necessarily the case. I think for AEW, what they sold was relatively good for what they would expect. And I do want to say too, I think AEW was relatively good in terms of the crowd and stuff. But that's a pay-per-view, right? Like, you kind of come to expect that. I think with WWE, it is a little bit different being a house show. I think what's really interesting though is the future of house shows, because WWE has very publicly said, hey, we're not going to do that many of these. And AEW attempted it, and then AEW really struggled to sell house show tickets. which maybe you can argue their strategy was wrong because they were trying to go to markets where they're not going to bring TV events. But house shows were very short-lived for AEW. House shows in WWE, they are minimalizing how much they're going to be doing, but the ones that they're doing are significantly impactful. They did Chicago with Gunther and CM Punk, and I think it was like 11 to 12,000 tickets sold. WWE tonight in Detroit, Little Caesars Arena, is approaching 10,000.
Is that the number that it's approaching?
That's the number it's approaching. So obviously the live event business,
so busy downtown, bro.
Yeah, well, of course. And so here's the thing that you also got to be mindful of is 10,000 tickets is a phenomenal achievement for a house show. But also at the same time too, it costs money to run these house shows. So even like WWE, CM Punk had a tweet and he was like, "Oh, we just did $1 million house 3 nights in a row," or whatever it was, which I'm sure is fantastic. I think it just goes to show you that even AEW can still be successful with WWE being at the top, right? What isn't successful for AEW versus WWE is, if you're just looking at the numbers, WWE is their numbers when it comes to live attendance are just significantly higher for TV.
Yeah.
Like
so
AEW is doing 1,000 to 3,000 roughly. Pay-per-view is doing almost 7,000.
So going back to the Kia Center in Orlando and whatnot, that is the home of the Orlando Magic, is the Kia Center.
Okay.
And then the other venue is the University of Central Florida college basketball arena. So there is a little bit of a significant difference in the size of those.
Sure. Which is fine. I mean, I think, like I said,
Big shout out to my man Anthony. That man in the chat hooked it up.
Yeah, I think it's good though. I think it's good for pro wrestling seeing that, and I think looking at WWE and like their numbers, obviously WWE's hot and it shows that like people go to the house shows, but you can't discredit AEW for doing less and being outdrawn by a house show, because ultimately at the end of the day, it would have been really bad if WWE did, let's say 8,000 seats and then AEW did 2,000. The fact that there's so many people, there were so many people in Florida that were like, dude, we got to go to one of these shows.
Wrestling, yeah.
Which is great, because I think it goes to show you that Florida is still a hot spot for professional wrestling, which is
absolutely. Yeah.
But then here's one thing I will say, and I want to get your reaction to this, because this part doesn't get talked about. I know you didn't buy your tickets for WWE for tonight's house show in Detroit, but are you aware of the pricing that WWE currently is?
So I know, like, I'll just go off of like personal.
Yeah.
I know I got floor tickets.
Okay.
For the house show tonight. Spent between me and my girlfriend, we about $100
for floor seats.
Or 200, excuse me, 200.
There's no way.
So it was 200 altogether.
There's no way.
Yeah,
I'm calling you out on your bullshit. There's no way.
I promise you. They're not like front row floor seats.
I'm checking it right now. I'm checking it right now.
Yeah, go ahead. I'll show you the ticket. Hold on.
Yeah, I want to see that shit.
I'm texting my girlfriend right now.
Because I'm telling you right now, I've been looking at tickets and floor seats.
I just texted my girlfriend.
On TickPick. I'm not sponsored by TickPick, so F them. But $457 for row 5. No, row 6.
Row 6? I'm in row 11. Hold on. Hold on. I'm texting her right now to send me a picture of the ticket. That way I could show it up here and give you proof.
Yeah. I'm just bringing it up because I was saying my point that I was going to make about ticket pricing is that WWE and AEW have both gone up in price. So realistically, it's a fantastic thing to see
that people are still going out and paying that money to see.
So, I mean, you factor in the economy and everything that's going on. The holidays just happened. You know, people are spending money to go to a pro wrestling show, whether it's a house show or pay-per-view. The only thing I was going to say, too, which is the biggest thing, is WWE on the same night as AEW. I don't think there will be a time where AEW outdraws WWE, just for the simple fact that WWE...
they are too different.
Yeah, just brand recognition at this point is at an all-time high, and I think for AEW, they're still trying to get that. which is fine. It's completely fine. But obviously you have to factor that in. Like, you know, as long as they're both selling tickets and people are going, that I think that's a win for professional wrestling.
Yeah. That's fair. That's fair.
If you get that ticket, show us, because I don't believe you.
Okay, hold on. I'm waiting for it.
That's amazing.
I promise you I'm going to get it on this live stream.
No, honestly, if that's the case, that's amazing, because I haven't seen floor tickets. I mean, the cheapest...
She's texting me right now.
Ooh, what do you guys think, chat? Y'all think he's lying? $200 for floor seats?
So 100 a piece.
100 a piece. There's no way. There has to be some, like... Especially WWE has been...
Okay.
They're the worst company, by the way, when it comes to pricing out their tickets, because they be going like, "Oh, we're super cool and shit." So
yeah,
$6,000 later,
it's like the Lions, dude.
Reese Gamble in the chat says, "I got 2 floor seats for the house show in Baltimore last weekend for $300 total." What the hell?
See, it's not, and I bought these weeks ago. All right, so. I'm in section floor 5, row 11, seats 10 through 14.
Okay.
And I will show you. I have it. I'm going to cover this up, but hold on. Because her friend has the tickets on her phone, but she did send me exactly the section and everything like that. So if you read right there at the bottom, it says section F5, row 11, seats 10 through 14. And I could show you the Apple Pay of the money that I sent.
It's wild.
So section floor 5.
I'm not even gonna look it up. If you're getting it for that cheap, I wish I freaking knew about it. All right.
Now you made me feel like a bad friend. I should have told you.
No, it's fine. Too busy these days. Plus, it's on during Raw. It's on during Raw. It's hard.
Everybody in the chat said he got it from the green shirt guy.
Oh shit! Hey, probably, bro. I don't know how he became.
What's the best ticket company? The best ticket company? The green shirt guy.
Yeah, best ticket company. I'm not telling you because none of them pay me for it.
Facts. You don't know the real thing yet.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Let's switch it up really quick. WWE. I talked about it earlier in my video. Just a quick opinion on this. I don't want to spend too much time talking about it. But Cody's going to be on Raw for a couple weeks on Netflix. Basically, my argument here, Billy, is that WWE, if they don't explain why people are just going back and forth, it kills the brand split. Now that we've seen this whole bunch of stuff with like the brand split, wrestlers being transfer portal, wrestlers being able to work both shows. So far, we've seen general managers like at least explain logically why it's happening. Just overall assessment. Should WWE keep the brand split or should they end the brand split?
I think ultimately you should keep it because I think USA needs to establish SmackDown. Because here's the thing, is we got so excited about Raw on Netflix that we kind of forgot like SmackDown existed and like that's still a thing. Yeah. And it's like they still have like, again, we're having Roman face Solo on Raw, but that's technically still a SmackDown feud.
Yeah.
So again, people need to determine like, okay, maybe we need Roman on Netflix.
Yeah.
We got to put Roman on Raw. It just has to happen. He's the guy right now. A guy like Damian Priest needs to go to SmackDown because he's still a name. He can still draw. You can have somebody like Gunther go over to SmackDown. He's a draw. You have to make these two things compelling. But I will say this. If you want to go away from the brand split, it's not a horrible idea, but I think it turns into just a little bit of a confused mess if you do it that way, at least from what we've been told before with the brand split.
Yeah.
It turns into a big like conglomerate of like what the hell is going on.
Yeah.
And stories are just playing on over into the next show, and not everybody can tune into that next show.
Yeah.
So, I mean, ultimately, I would like to see them keep the brand split, but I'm not opposed personally to them going away from it. But if it was my option, keep it.
Yeah, I'm opposed to it 100%.
Are you?
100%. I've been saying this too. Like AEW should do a brand split. WWE should do a brand split. Strict.
Strict.
I don't know why people hate when I fucking say that, but 100%. 100%.
Yeah, I just don't see a world where it makes sense to not have it.
And it's really not that hard to explain. Like, hey, so-and-so showing up on this show because we're doing this. Like, I don't know. It's just, you got to make sense out of it storyline wise. A SmackDown feud being on Raw, Netflix, it's stupid. Like, I love the match and I'm excited for the match, but it's like, okay, why is it happening on Netflix? You know, hey, maybe Adam Pearce and Nick Aldis have a backstage segment being like, hey, man, like Nick Aldis being like, hey, I did you a favor. I brought you a big marquee match for your Netflix debut. In return, I want this. I would love to see WWE implement that because as of right now, they haven't really explained why it's happening on Raw, which I think is a waste of time. So obviously that's why I find it problematic. Okay, Billy, I'm going to give you a list of names. Here's how it's going to go. I'm going to give you a list of names, and we're going to talk about whether or not these people are future world champions. Okay?
Okay. I like this. We're playing a little game here.
Yes. And I think it's really important that you don't spend too much time for each name because there's quite a few of them. But
give an example of why.
Give an example of why, yes or no, okay?
Okay. Bring it on.
First one on the list, Karrion Kross.
The way he's telling stories right now on TV, absolutely 100% of future. I'm hoping sometime, if not this year, next.
Okay, well, there's only like tomorrow's the last day of the year, so
well, you know what I mean.
Like 2026. Okay.
Yes.
Okay, cool. Just making sure. If Karrion Kross, I actually agree with you. Karrion Kross is a future world champion. Would you see Karrion Kross being in a position where he's in the World Heavyweight Championship scene or the WWE Championship scene?
The World Heavyweight Championship. Yeah. I think he fits just better in that storyline. And because the World Heavyweight Championship, there is a difference between that and the WWE Championship when it comes to storytelling.
Sure. I agree with you 1000%. Karrion Kross will be a future world champion. I will say, though, it has to happen without the Final Testament.
Absolutely. He needs to do it on his own.
So I like the Final Testament, but I do think he's going to be a future world champion. I know WWE, whether it's going to be the draft or the transfer portal, I think Karrion Kross should actually go and be moved to SmackDown. Get him away from AOP. Let him stick around with Scarlett. In fact, honestly, just kind of going back to what we were talking about with Cody being used on Raw, I would move the WWE Championship to Raw, the World Heavyweight Championship to SmackDown, and let that be the brand where all the people coming up get an opportunity to go for the world title. Karrion Kross would be a phenomenal World Heavyweight Champion.
Yeah, I agree.
Second one, Bronson Reed.
Okay, yes. I do see him as a world champion. I do think he is, again, one of those guys that you still have time. He's still so new into the WWE's eyes that you don't necessarily have to pull the trigger 2025, 2026. You can still let it wait out a little bit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Not all these guys need to have the trigger pulled right now.
Yeah.
You know, there is a difference between actually creating somebody and making them and just allowing them to tell good stories.
Yeah.
Not everything needs a title, and you can have them face for the Intercontinental and stuff like that.
Okay.
Yeah. So, yeah.
I agree. Chad Gable.
If Chad Gable isn't a world champion in my lifetime, I may cry, honestly. Chad Gable is one of the people that I think deserved it a year ago. You know what I mean? I think he is when you talk about like workhorses, Chad Gable fits that bill. Again, I think when they did that Gunther storyline, I think you could have done that storyline now with the World Heavyweight Championship rather than the Intercontinental. So yeah, that's my takeaway on Chad Gable. Give that man something soon.
You know, I gotta be honest with you. I love Chad Gable. I don't think he will.
I mean, you might be right, and honestly, he might be one of those guys that just falls into that.
Yeah, I think he's
that should have won it.
Should have won it, never did. And I
But
hope
it
I'm
wasn't
wrong.
the right time. I hope so too.
I hope I'm wrong, but I think Chad Gable, it's just, I think they have so much priority. There's so many people like Damian Priest or CM Punk or Seth Rollins or Drew McIntyre. I think there's just too many people
He
ahead
just
of him.
doesn't have enough priority.
Yeah. I don't know why. I hope I'm wrong. Number one, the next one on the list, I think this is an easy one. Will Ospreay.
Yeah,
It's like automatic, right?
Yeah, you have to give him the title.
Okay, I'm gonna throw a little ante on this one though. Ready?
Okay.
It has to happen within 2025. Does AEW pull the trigger?
Yes, absolutely.
You think
I think
so?
they do it at All in Texas.
I don't think so.
No. Oh my goodness
gracious.
Think they wait that long?
If they wait past 20, you know how I told you, I'm like, sometimes AEW just doesn't pull the trigger at the right time.
Yes.
I'm afraid that they're going to do that with Will Ospreay. But if AEW,
I think he loves Will Ospreay too much to let that happen.
So I will say this though, as much as I don't believe in Darby Allin being a world champion, how we were talking about it earlier on the live stream, with Darby probably being the one to take it off Jon Moxley.
Yeah.
At least we know Darby and Will Ospreay can have an amazing match because we just saw them.
Oh, absolutely.
So that is something to obviously factor in. We'll keep that in mind.
Yep.
But it has to happen in 2025. I actually don't think it will happen though.
Yeah.
Okay. On the contrary, because he's such a controversial person on my channel, Kyle Fletcher. Will he ever become a world champion? You say no?
I'm saying no.
I say no as well.
No.
I say no as well. I hope I'm wrong. I hope
so.
I hope I'm wrong, but I think Tony Khan has a list of people that he wants as a world champion, and I don't think Kyle Fletcher has made that list.
On that. Nope.
Would be sick though.
Would be. Dude's great.
Next one on the list, Konosuke Takeshita.
If he's not world champion, if he does not win a world championship, I'll riot. We can riot.
Yeah.
That's one of the guys that has to win the world heavyweight, not the world heavyweight, but the AEW world championship.
Yeah, Konosuke for sure. He has to. I don't think it happens in 2025 though.
I don't either. I think again it goes back to a priority thing and where like it lies. I do think down the line though, absolutely, I see him winning a world championship.
Okay, I have one that's going to be an interesting one because everybody said he left WWE because there was a ceiling for him in WWE. Has he hit the ceiling in AEW? Claudio Castagnoli.
Yeah, that poor guy. He's never going to win it.
Yeah.
There's not enough priority. They don't prioritize him. He is a background guy.
Yeah.
I'd love to see it because if you remember that Roman story many, many years ago and how good that was.
Oh, he should have won the belt there, bro.
He should have. And you had that moment and you just didn't do it.
Yeah. Next one. Where did I put it on the list? I was just literally looking at my list and now I can't find it, which is bothering me. Oh, there we go. Sorry. Next one on the list for the women, Chris Statlander.
Chris Statlander, she is having great matches with Mercedes. Yes, she needs to win the women's world championship for sure.
I think she does it in 2025 as well, by the way.
I think so too. I think she's right. She's on that trajectory and that path.
Yeah. Next one on the list. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No. I was just gonna say she just keeps losing these matches to Mercedes, but their matches are so good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She should be a key part of their women's division going for the world championship. Next one on the list, we have Carmelo Hayes.
Yeah, I mean, it's still so early for Carmelo. You know what I mean? He's kind of like a Bronson Reed, right?
Yeah.
Like these are like what you describe as future talent.
Yep.
That you get them in here now, and in 2025, is he going to win it? No, probably not. In 2026, no, there's a chance. 2027, yeah, we're probably looking at we're probably talking about the Carmelo Hayeses of the world at that time.
Yeah. It's an interesting thing because there's been so many guys in the history of professional wrestling where yeah, I think this guy's going to be a world champion. And then surprisingly, they're not.
Nothing happens. Yeah.
Carmelo and Braun Breaker, to me, is going to be a very big deal for WWE's future. But we'll see if WWE will be ready for them at that time.
I think when you think of like good storytelling, Braun Breaker and Carmelo Hayes will be so fire.
Yeah.
Yeah. That one excites me.
You know, I'm going to throw this one in there. I didn't write it on the list. But what about Omos?
Bro.
I'm being serious.
You're being serious?
No, I'm being dead serious.
Stop the cap.
I'm being dead serious.
No.
Why wouldn't Omos, who is like the biggest giant in professional wrestling, who, by the way, is going to Pro Wrestling Noah, why shouldn't he be in the conversation of being a potential world champion?
I mean, I see your argument, and I know what you're going to do. You're going to try and break me down here and be like, yeah, like it could happen. No. There's no priority.
No, they haven't done shit with him for sure. No, I still think he should be a world champion, though. I think so.
Yeah, somebody said it in the chat. Braun before Omos, but Braun's already won the world championship.
But imagine if Omos was world champion and then you use that as an opportunity for Braun Breaker to be like
the Beast Slayer.
Wrestling fans hate giants, but I think there's always a need for them. So Omos should be a world champion.
Braun's great. Yeah.
Next one on the list, Braun. Jacob Fatu.
Fuck yes.
Jacob Fatu should be WWE champion.
Yes, absolutely.
And if The Rock and Solo Sikoa and this Roman Reigns thing wasn't a thing, Jacob Fatu should be the one to take it off Cody.
Absolutely agreed.
All right. Next one on the list, Wardlow.
No, you dropped the ball on him too many times. I don't see a world where, unless he goes to WWE eventually, and then maybe you have an opportunity there. I just don't see a world where it makes sense. This is probably just me personally speaking, but there's not a world where I take Wardlow serious in AEW anymore. You can't fix him. In my eyes, you can't.
Okay. Just a few more left, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Do you think Deonna Purrazzo will become women's world champion in the future?
I want to say yes, just because I've always been a fan of Deonna Purrazzo. But right now, when it comes down to, again, just priority, no, I don't see it. But in the future, I will say, actually, let me say yes here.
Okay, because I was going to say, let me say
yes here. Yeah, let me say yes here.
Yeah, I don't think that's going to happen in AEW, unfortunately.
I don't either.
But on the flip side, my next one on the list is Natalya. And I don't think she's going to be.
Didn't she win the Women's World Championship at one point?
Let's see.
Yeah, look that up. I could be wrong.
2-time Women's World Champion.
Boom. I knew it.
Dude, that show was a long time ago.
Yeah, it was.
Divas Championship, you know?
Well...
And SmackDown World's Women's Champion.
Yeah, I was about to say, because it was against
2016.
Charlotte. Yeah, it was against Charlotte.
Oh, I don't see Charlotte. I don't know. Well, I can't read right now. My eyes are dying from this ring light. But yeah, Natalya, they won't even give her the NXT World Championship, which is a shame. But just like how I was talking about Deonna Purrazzo, like Natalya, such a great in-ring worker, probably won't be a champion.
Nope. And she's one of those people that I think is staying in WWE for life.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. Yeah, she just re-signed too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then Ricochet.
Yeah, for sure. In AEW.
You think Ricochet will be a future world champion in the company?
Yeah, hot take. Yeah, I do.
I'm going to need chat to throw out those toilet paper emotes, bro. I'm going to start it. Let me start it. Let me just spam that shit real quick.
You gonna start that shit?
I just started to spam it. Yeah, hell yeah. You think Ricochet in a company where you got Will Ospreay, Hangman Page, and all these other people, you think Ricochet is going to be world champion?
Yeah, I think Tony Khan loves him.
That's crazy. That's crazy. Chat, do you guys hear this?
Fucking clip this. I don't care. Yeah, fuck
That's
yeah.
wild. That's wild. Yeah, okay. I mean, granted, you guys could have given me shit for saying Omos, but nobody did. Okay.
Facts, bro. Facts.
Okay. Just a couple more. And this is where it gets really interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Because now the names that I'm going to tell you are people that have won the world championship before in a company.
And if they should win it again.
They've had the world title before in some company. Now it's going to be like, can this happen? Adam Cole.
Yes, absolutely.
I don't think so.
Okay, that's fair. But yes, I think he should.
I think Adam Cole and MJF probably at some point, yes, but both of those guys are actually on this list. So let me start with Adam Cole. Adam Cole, no, because I think Adam Cole has been ruined in AEW.
Okay, that's fair.
However, what I will say is if Adam Cole were to jump to WWE, I do think WWE would in fact put the world championship on him.
Yes.
Which is only, and there's a reason for this, right? If MJF came to WWE, I don't think they would put the world championship on MJF.
Mm-hmm.
So the reason why I'm saying this is because it is very clear that Triple H has his guys, and Adam Cole.
Yes, and Adam Cole was one of them. Yeah, absolutely. Fair.
Former NXT world champion.
Okay.
Andrade.
Yeah, I would love to see Andrade win the championship. Do I see it happening soon? No, but do I see a world where it happens? Absolutely.
Okay. That's fair.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I just see it. I see it eventually happening.
Eddie Kingston.
Mm-mm.
You don't think so?
No.
Love that guy.
So do I. I love Eddie
Probably
Kingston.
won't happen, but I agree with you. Probably won't happen, but I would love to see it.
The non-bias says no.
Yeah. Samoa Joe.
Mm-mm.
Drew McIntyre.
Yes.
AJ Styles.
No.
Interesting. There is a reason why I had you play this game. And the biggest
Why
one,
that?
if you made it all the way to this point, you could kind of tell based on Triple H and Tony Khan and the way they book and the people that they favor, you can kind of already tell who's on their like naughty
Top
list and who's on their nice
yeah.
list, you know?
Mm-hmm. So who's the priority?
I think it's going to be very telling in the next 2-3 years which one of these people we listed. Like, it'll be really fun to look back at this and be like, that person did, you know?
This is one of those live streams that I'm going to remember for sure, too.
Because it's just going to be fun to look back and say, yeah, this person actually was a world champion and we didn't think so. But I think it's very predictable, like looking at the way Triple H and Tony Khan, the way they book.
And just the way the vision is right now.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. It's interesting stuff. Definitely.
For sure. For sure.
Billy.
Ango.
This was fun.
This was a lot of fun, man.
I can't wait to do the review shows, though.
I know, bro. We're going back.
It's going to be fun.
You excited, man?
Yeah, dude. Honestly, I think I miss Raw. Like,
so do I.
Like the Raw post shows were fun. NXT,
just those
Dynamite.
immediate reactions.
Yeah, it's a little bit. It's going to be tougher. I don't think we'll do SmackDown.
No, but I think between Raw and NXT, Dynamite, why could we knock those out?
Yeah, and then we could probably do like ones during the day on the other days or something. We'll figure it out. But and then obviously pay-per-view live streams will be fun again.
Yes.
Guys, chat, I appreciate you all pulling up. Between both live streams, I'm looking at just on my channel, vertical and horizontal, both live streams we pulled almost 400 viewers. So
beautiful.
Appreciate that. I don't know, Billy, I can't access your channel, but
there was a total of like, I think 60.
Cool. Love it.
Yeah.
Love you guys all pulling up. Billy, let them know where they can find you.
Guys, if you would like, you can go subscribe to my YouTube channel. It's youtube.com/BillyTKO. So definitely go over there and give me a subscribe. I make some pretty cool content over there. Just a lot of fun, man. A lot of fun.
Yeah. And we will be live probably tomorrow.
Yeah.
So yeah, thank you to everybody who dropped super chats and yeah, I don't know how I'm feeling about the vertical stream. I was looking at it on my computer. I don't know, Billy, this whole thing is weird. This vertical streaming on YouTube thing is weird, and it didn't work on TikTok. So maybe what I'll do, and in chat, let me know. I'll make a poll probably on YouTube or in Discord.
Okay.
Which, by the way, like I've been a lot more active on Discord. So if you guys aren't following on Discord or joining Discord, you guys should.
I'll start being active in your Discord as well. I'll start hanging out.
Yeah, guys, join Discord. We'll take a look and see. Maybe what we'll do is just regular live stream between here and YouTube. Screw the vertical streaming. I don't know. We'll figure it out. But
yeah, we'll figure it out as time goes on.
Cool. Ladies and gentlemen, that concludes our live stream. Thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you next time.